Hello, comic dudes! Now that I've eased you all back in with that extra sucky episode, it's time to get back to basics. Now, for today's episode, I'm going to be using this noticeably big plastic bear to decide the topic for today's episode. Oh, look at all those beautiful ideas I can do. Yeah, it's right. Everyone hates me. It's time to dig in. Mike and Ike's? That's a food. Music video. Maybe whenever I become tier list. What am I, a commentary YouTuber? Kirby's Adventure for the NES. That's gotta be a good sign. I left things off with Kirby Dreamland 1 and 2 pretty well, and I'm pretty excited to continue talking about the guy. I've been waiting very patiently. Speaking of, where's my plush? Garbo? Where is he?
Like I said in the last Kirby episode where I covered the first game in the series and its sequel both on the Game Boy, Kirby is a video game mascot best known for his 2D platformer games. Since his debut on the Game Boy in 1992, he has become one of the more popular video game mascots of all the times. In the last Kirby episode, I went over a few things that Kirby was able to do with himself in the games, such as he has a very floaty jump that allows him to fly nearly anywhere in the game, and the copy ability, which allows for Kirby to take the abilities of his enemies as his own.
Don't forget his tendency to inhale everybody he sees. Actually, please forget that.
Because we didn't go exactly in order in the first Kirby episode, the copy ability was not new to Kirby's Dreamland 2, but instead originated in this title. Which brings us to the title we will be covering today, Kirby's Adventure for the NES, released in 1993 and developed by HAL Laboratories. This entry sold 1.75 million copies, which may be lower than Dreamland's 5 million, and may also be lower than Dreamland 2's 2.3 million, is still fairly good for a game that came out at the end of the NES's life cycle. Speaking of, the SNES was out during the time for many countries, leading in part to the weaker sales figures of the game.
So blame Nintendo, not Kirby!
Anyways, enough blabbering, it's time to actually talk some Kirby.
Yeah, this place is definitely haunted. I'm getting the heck out of here.
And away I go.
Hey, alright. I made it. This is my new home. Pretty nice, huh? I am going to be doing just fine here, okay? Please don't ask if I'm going to be okay. I have everything covered. That's where I'm going to be sleeping, in there, with the snakes. And there's going to be where I'm going to be making my food. Pretty nice stuff. I personally think this is my best home yet. The only downside is that stupid squirrel. I swear I did all the steps right. Why does mine look so bad?
This is one of the most out of left field intros of all time. Like, I think it's hilarious and I think it's a wonderful way to welcome players into the game, but it's just so random. Regardless, after that you're set into the title screen, which is simple and to the point. There's Kirby, and you better be ready for an adventure! The game gives you 3 save files to choose from, and for the NES, that is a golden feature. Clicking start, there's a little cutscene for the level you're going to be going into that plays, just like the original 2 titles I covered. I like these little mini cutscenes, as they add a lot of character to the places you'll be visiting. So the fact that this little part carried over from the other 2 titles is really nice. After crashing into the first hub world, you can head into the first level. Now I love talking about some HUDs, so I'll speak on these quickly here. We have Kirby's health bar, which contains 6 HP that can be healed by having a nice warm meal. Reaching 0 will cause you to lose a life, like any game. Below that is the score, which I'm going to be real with you folks. I don't think anyone has cared about your score in a 2D platformer, ever, and I don't think anyone will disagree with that. And if you do, you're lying.
It's honestly not that bad here. I got everything I need. Food, drink, but most importantly, no ghosts. I hope there aren't any ghosts here. That's the only reason I came. What blush?
Next to those is Kirby's portrait, which will react if he's hurt, change his ability, among other things. This is a quick way to tell what ability you have, because the change in Kirby sprites are minute to none, which Doom would shamelessly steal, like 4 months later.
You know, I should really get me one of those. Kowalski, add me a Cayden Doom guy.
Lastly, we have Kirby's live count, which will tick down every single time your HP reaches 0. Available to Kirby's roster of movement is walking around, jumping around, inhaling people, spitting people out, or eating people. He can also do an infinite double jump of sort, which allows him to float around like a balloon. One last feature I forgot to mention is the copy mechanic, so I'll cover that here real fast. This game was the first Kirby title to add the copy abilities, so everything seen here is a first. Basically, if Kirby inhales a compatible enemy, he will gain a specific ability from them that will alter his attack and such. Getting hit or holding select will lead you to lose your ability, but you can always get it back if you're quick enough to inhale the bouncing star. These abilities will allow you to do things like never before and possibly unlock some secrets, which is pretty cool.
Okay, so I'm gonna be going through all the abilities right now and rating them out of 10. So let's go. 5, you look cool as heck, but it sucks to make up for that. 7, F it, we wall. 6, pretty mid, but the enemy you get it from isn't. I love you, Wannabe. 10, what? 8, has utility and range. 7, the Coward's Cutter. 4 for ability, 10 for traversal. 8, not that useful, but look at that palette. 6, pretty mid. 0, just press up twice. 7, same as the last snow one, just worse. 9, reminds me of the blasters in Angry Birds Star Wars. 1, I have the same feeling for this that I have for Planter. 10, any screen wipe is gonna be a 10 screen wipe. 4, porcupines are lame. Except for you, Snick. 3 kind of blows. Cute though. -1, actively makes things worse. 4, same as all those other proximity attacks. 9, hard to pull off, but pretty solid. 6, a classic. But this was before it was a heavy reference to Zelda and such, so, you know, it was more standing on its own toes back then. 5, same as the backflip one, it just slows me down. 10, hands down the best combination of traversal, coolness, and damage. 9, look at it. Just look at it. 8, ain't this Sonic? 5, I like the cutter more.
The first level is really easy and is just meant to show new players the ropes. There aren't any crazy difficult enemies, just the common critters. There are a few copy mechanics you can grab here that just show the players that they exist. At the end of every single level in this game, there's a little jumping minigame that'll allow you to get some extra goodies like lives if you time your jump right, which is always fun to get perfect on your first try. After that, you are sent back into the hub world where you can plant down another flag and reveal more of the levels. Each hub world is connected and unlocking more parts of them is really a treat, especially with all of the mini-games. The hub worlds contain little mini-games that'll break up the possible resentment one could be building for the regular platforming levels by being super cool. My personal favorite is the King Dedede Egg Toss one, but play the game for yourself to find your own favorite. And I'm totally not just saying that to make it easier to write this script by not explaining them all. But you can get extra lives and stuff from these, so there's no real reason to pass them up. Anyways, back to the main story of the epic Kirby adventure. Each world has around 4 regular levels or so, with bosses to end off each world. For example, Old Wispy is the boss for the first world, this stupid guy is the second world boss for the tropical variety, and so on. All the bosses from Kirby's Dream Land 1 return here except for that stupid blimp and those stupid box dudes, but this game adds new bosses that are way cooler than the blimp could ever be. Believe me! Each of the worlds here are diverse and creative, just as the Dreamland games were. All in all, there isn't too much I could say here that I haven't said already.
But
Music? Epic. Need I say more? A huge step up from that of both the Dreamlands I had already covered, but that was mainly due to limitations of the Game Boy's sound chip. The music here fits Kirby's whole vibe perfectly, that being a vibe of much happiness and much whimsy.
what the heck does that even...
Graphics-wise, the pixel art here is really clean, all of the enemies and bosses have personality, and all of the backgrounds are bursting with charm. This game, as a late NES game, had a lot more experienced pixel artists than most other games that were made during the system's lifespan, which allowed for this game to look the best that it could have. The game was about 20 bucks or so when it came out, which, when considering inflation, is around 40 bucks today. This is a great price in my opinion, as this was easily one of the best games to have been released on the NES. Also keep in mind that the game probably would have gone on sale in most stores, considering the SNES was already out by then. If I were a little scamp wanting some Kirby in 1993, I would have definitely taken this opportunity.
The game is good. I just realized by moving out here, not only am I going to be seen as... but I'm also going to be leaving behind all of my semi-sarcastic gaming shirts. And I might die if I go without those. So I'm going back home, ghost or not. Hey ghosts, I'm sorry for any pain I may have caused, and I promise to stop playing Despacito at full volume on my Alexa. Phew, now that there's no bad blood between us, I'm gonna go get some bacon. No matter what, party on my mind, I can never get enough. What the heck are you doing here?
Hey, Kirby, I've been looking for you.